Boston College has been plagued by mistakes over the last 3 games. Will they fix that in time for the Pitt game? We'll talk about it on today's Locked On Boston College.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Network, and I've been covering Boston College for over a decade. If you want Boston College news, analysis, and details on your Eagles, you are in the right place. Locked On Boston College is a free daily Boston College podcast available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when they make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. On today's show, it is the prediction show for the Pitt game. We're going to get predictions from myself and Mitchell Wolfe. We're going to get thoughts on the Pitt Panthers, and we're going to be talking about what we should be looking for BC in this matchup. And of course, I already mentioned him, but here he is. From Eagle Insider, it's Mitchell Wolfe. Mitch, how's it going?
It's going well. I probably need to start packing, given that I'll be going to this game, leaving tomorrow or today when you're listening to this on Friday. I'll be in the press box, which will be cool for me as a Steelers fan to be in the press box at what I still call Heinz Field, not Acrisure Stadium. This is my fake Pope thing, Regency of Avignon, I believe it was called, or something like that. So yeah, this is it'll be Heinz Field until the day I die.
So Pitt sits at 2-2. They have losses to Louisville and West Virginia in the backyard brawl. What have you seen? What are we going to be looking for? Let's talk more from BC's perspective. What is BC, from your perspective, what does BC got to do this weekend? And
it's kind of the same story all over again. You got to not beat yourself. You got to be smart on special teams, not make mistakes there, clean that up. I mean, it was pretty clean against Cal, honestly, aside from one bad punt, which was Seamus Florio punting from deep zone territory, which I've talked about not being a thing they need to let happen. Need to not have turnovers, which obviously killed them against Cal. Need to clean up the missed tackles, which they did a little bit against Cal, and not have as many penalties, which was really bad against Cal. I found this stat that on defensive passing plays, BC's lost expected points added on those plays was negative 4.18 EPA. So essentially the 4 points that the game was decided by
was that decided by penalties.
Yeah. So if you think about all those third downs or fourth downs they committed pass interference on, that's where it really showed up. So that's something that they need to do. And from a more down-to-down schematic thing, on offense, I think you need to try to run the ball again, but Pitt has been very good against the run, even when they've played the two Power 4 teams that they've lost to. Playing West Virginia is not a very good team, but they have Rich Rod back there. They want to run the ball. They want to run some read option stuff. Louisville's more of a pro-style offense, and as we know, they have good running backs, so that's a bit more of a sensible comparison. But Pitt has always been dynamic at stopping the run. They play with a lot of base personnel. They play with 7-man boxes. They'll bring a safety down. They'll do all that. They're very aggressive with how they slant and how they blitz against the run. So BC's going to need to be prepared for that. And that goes to the passing game where they'll need to be ready for that as well. Pitt plays almost exclusively, or they're one of the most quarters heavy teams. So that's another word for cover 4, but quarters is a family of coverage that goes beyond cover 4, but it's kind of all in that vein, just difference of depths of how far people drop, what players they're reading, what routes they're covering, that kind of thing. So that's been Pitt's MO since Sartuzzi's been there. So you kind of know what you're going to get, but they're just really good at it. So it doesn't even matter how well you prepare for it. They're just so good at it. That's hard to beat. BC had some success against it last year, obviously, but Pitt was really banged up. They were in the middle of a 6-game losing skid. Coming to Boston the end of November, I think they were just kind of out of gas. So BC was able to take advantage of that, playing against a lot of backups, mostly on offense, but on defense as well. They still have, if not the best linebacking core in the ACC, one of the best, with Kyle Lewis, who plays their star position, which is their nickel hybrid defender. Rasheem Biles, who has been dynamite this year. He's been awesome. And Braylon Lovelace, who's still a pretty good linebacker as well. They don't have as much explosiveness in the secondary as they usually do. Pitt has traditionally had very good defensive back play, but a lot of those guys have moved on to the NFL, so they're a little worse where they're in their defensive line. I still don't think it's as good. I don't think they have like a really huge game changer there, but they have a good deep unit that can get after the passer. So it'll be interesting because we talked about BC has been pretty good against the blitz this year with Dylan Lonergan. Again, he is still the number one quarterback in terms of PFF passing grade against pressure, as long as you put a minimum of 50 dropbacks, which he has like 185. So you basically have guys who have played in every game and have started. He's still really good at that. He knows if the blitz is coming, he knows where his hot route is. He knows what to do with it. So you hope he can keep that up, but obviously he's got to clean up those interceptions. And you hope that BC can find ways to run the ball. They do need to keep being more creative about it. They did a lot of fun, like RPO motion stuff that kept the defense guessing against Cal. You got to maybe involve Lonergan a little bit. He showed that he could scoot every once in a while. You're not going to run him like you did Thomas Castellanos or a bigger, strong quarterback, but you can get him on the edge on a read option. He can scramble a bit. So you have to come up with more creative ways. And that's been really my big bugaboo with this offensive coaching staff is you have to be more creative. You can't be relying on the stuff that you like and does work, but you got to have more counters off it. You got to have more counter punches. You got to have more ideas, more ways to attack the defense instead of running the same mesh rail, spot, slot cross, GY counter. You got to have some more stuff. You got to make defenses prepare for more, or just because they know BC is going to run these things. So run plays that look like that to begin with, but turn into something else.
Yeah, and especially against, as you were just saying, like a smart defense like Pitt, they're going to be waiting on it. They're going to
I think like almost everybody that's a starter on this team is at least like a redshirt junior. Like this is a very experienced group. Again, aside from the linebackers, I don't think there's like a ton of NFL caliber talent, but there's a lot of guys who have played a lot of football, so they know what they're doing. They know, what BC's going to throw.
You talk about like trying to like expand out on the offense for Lonergan. What style of for people listening, what kind of style of plays would you like to see them add more to?
I think it depends on what Lonergan likes to run. That's what you want your quarterbacks coach and your offense coordinator to unite on. You don't want to. So I'll take the counter example of this. You don't want to have him be throwing these like deep posts all the time. You can mix them in, and he's hit them. He's hit one for VJ Wilkins against Michigan State. He got the defense pass interference to Reed Harris against Cal, but Dylan Lonergan's biggest strength is not his arm strength. Like he has a good arm, not a great arm. He's not Josh Allen or anything crazy like that. He's not even Phil Dracovic in terms of arm strength. So, and you're not going to have these like big, deep passing concepts. You want to use them off play action to catch defense napping, but you're not going to be like, I'm going to fit this ball in on the back shoulder. You're not going to see a ton of those. But most of the other stuff, the intermediate short stuff, he's good at. So you just want to. There's one that I think of, and because I think they love that spot concept so much, which is the one with the tight end, little hook route by the tight end, the corner route behind it, and the flat by the running back. They've found a lot of ways to run that concept with different receivers, guys going in motion. They've done stuff with that, but you got to like find a play off that. So I'm thinking of one where basically you would have the tight end run like he's going to run the hook, take a step where he turns back to the quarterback, and then maybe cut back the other way and try to get vertical. And maybe have, instead of the guy running the corner, have him run a post. So you have defenders saying, oh, it's spot. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to get down against the hook route. I'm going to get outside versus the corner route. Then you have him run by the cornerback or the guy covering him on the spot route. And then you have the corner route turn into a post route, and the guys on the other side of the field, and you've got a post route right up the middle. So there's some way. I mean, that's just one I thought of. I'm not sure there's really a name for that one, but you just want to take advantage of what the defense's preconceived notions of what you want to do are.
And
more screens too. More screens. This team has been pretty good at running screens. They only ran, I think, one against Cal. They've ran it a few times in each of the other games. I think they're pretty good at that. So I think the one screen was technically the one to the swing pass to like Luke McLaughlin, which went for 2 yards because he got tackled in the open field. So, you got to find more ways to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, namely Turbo Richard, namely Lewis Bond. Actually, I'm sorry. The screen was the one to Reed Harris, which was a cool design because they had the motion to go out to the swing and the defense was looking at that, but then they had Harris coming back in the other way, which he got tackled by his shoelaces. So it didn't work, but it was a cool idea. So there is some stuff like that. It's just, they're not executing well enough, and maybe that's why they haven't expanded as much because guys just aren't executing in practice. So they don't feel comfortable running it.
In a moment, Mitch and I are going to discuss more about BC and looking at Pitt. I want to get his thoughts on Eli Holstein and some of the issues that he has. And I have a few questions that I have for Mitch that we're going to get into in just a moment. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. These are the moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward is the kicking leg of Luca Lombardo. Again, I said on Twitter earlier this week that I would not put on my bingo board that Luca Lombardo being perfect on field goal attempts this year with 2 50-plus yard field goals would be something I would have chosen, but he has been nails. He has been absolutely critical for BC to stay in some of these games. And for, struggles that we saw during camp, he's gotten all of those and he has moved his game forward. When you're when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like Luca Lombardo, there's more to every highlight. There's more to every Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. It's almost the weekend, time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For Boston College, Turbo Richard delivered in a big way. Turbo Richard had a 75-yard touchdown run, or 70-plus yard touchdown run, that put Boston College back up when they were losing. Fortunately, the game did not end that way, but Turbo did everything he could, running for over 170 yards in this game, giving himself a career day. He came through with no hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, this performance wasn't a fluke. Turbo Richard is on a streak. And just like Turbo Richard delivered for the Eagles, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday on your order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through 11/18. Locked on Boston College, AJ Black here with Mitchell Wolfe of Eagle Insider. And this is our Friday episode. This is a critical game. I had someone say to me, I think it was actually a parent of a player in our comment section, that this game is not a must win. I don't agree with that. I think in terms of getting this season back on track, this is about as close to must win as it gets, because you go 1-4 and things are going to start looking pretty bleak. Thoughts on that?
If this isn't a must win, then are you going to say, if you say Clemson is, even how bad Clemson is, they're still a lot more talented than BC. And so just, calling that a must win and basically expecting them to have to win in that game is unreasonable, in my opinion. Then you go to UConn. It's UConn is more of a, must win, can't lose. We can get into that debate. Unfortunately, this isn't ESPN or FS1 talk radio. So that's, the whole must win thing is kind of silly to me, but yes, BC does. They need to win this game too. They need to just save momentum on the season, because then guys are going to start tuning out, because it's again, they have been close, and that's what makes this so frustrating, is that they are close to winning these games. But if you just keep repeatedly, you're close and you keep losing, your hope's going to die, and you're going to be like, okay, I'm done with this. This season's over. So you got to arrest that momentum as soon as possible. And I do think that it is possible they could fix that in this game. Or at least get the season back on track by winning this game.
All right, let's talk about that. Eli Holstein, the Pitt quarterback. I thought last year he looked dynamite until he got hurt. And this year he almost gets benched. And sounds like, Pat Narduzzi is lukewarm on him at best. What is going on with him right now? And this battle, but it's actually a battle between two former Alabama quarterbacks.
Yeah, if you go back to last year, I think some of his stats were a bit empty. They get to start the season with Kent State, the worst team in the FBS. He has a great game. They have weird games against Cincinnati and West Virginia, where they're down by double digits in both. They come back and win due to some kind of fluky turnovers. And he does a pretty decent job of not actually turning the ball over. But in the Cincinnati game, looking at PFF, he had 0 big time throws and 4 turnover worthy plays, and he only threw 1 interception. So, get lucky with dropped interceptions there. Then they play Youngstown State, FCS team. They beat North Carolina, who was pretty mid. They beat Cal in the worst special teams game I've ever seen, by Cal. They were absolutely god-awful. And then they play Syracuse, and Kyle McCord hands them the game on a silver platter with 6 interceptions or whatever he threw. After that, I think he got hurt after the Cal game, because then they played Clemson and lost. But after that Syracuse game, that's when things really went off the rails. They lose to SMU, they lose to Virginia, Louisville, Holstein gets hurt, what have you. But he has always been this kind of turnover too aggressive quarterback, where he is putting the ball in harm's way a lot. Last year, he had 20 turnover-worthy plays, which is a 5.3 turnover-worthy play rate, which is pretty bad. You want that number to be between 1 and 2. And his big-time throw rate, he does. He has a pretty good arm. He can push it downfield, but he has a really bad penchant for making bad decisions with the ball. This year, it has not been much better. He didn't have to do a ton versus Duquesne and West, as we know, and Central Michigan. Central Michigan's running a variant of the option, so they are not really scoring a lot. And then West Virginia, he was pretty bad, had 5 turnover-worthy plays, took 6 sacks. And then last week against Louisville, he has 2 turnover-worthy plays, but both get intercepted. He takes 1 sack, and he gets benched for Cole Gonzalez, who was a FCS transfer. He was at Western Carolina, which is where Cade Bell, the offensive coordinator, came from, so he has some experience in this system. So I see why they would want to go to Gonzalez. Again, I'll be honest, I don't know much about him. Given that he's an FCS quarterback, I imagine that he's, relatively smaller, has a decent arm, but nothing too crazy, but he's good at getting the ball out quickly and knows where to go with the ball. So I could see them making that move given how Holstein is kind of still, he has not really progressed from what he was the year before. You see him making these same mistakes, throwing the ball into coverage, overrating his own arm. So I can see why they would pull him. And I'm not sure that is a great thing for BC. I'm not sure it's a bad thing because last year they didn't play against Holstein because he was hurt. They got Nate Yarnell, who they'd played before. And like I said, Pitt had some injuries, but they were missing Desmond Reed, their running back, who's a really good player. He's tiny, but he's very explosive. He's a great receiver out of the backfield. He's a very good runner as well. But last year, they also had Kanata Mumfield, wide receiver, and tight end Gavin Bartholomew, both of whom are in the NFL, I believe. I think they might be both on practice squads, but they made the NFL. So those guys are gone. And they didn't really replace Bartholomew at tight end. They don't really have another wide receiver. Raphael Poppy Williams is their slot receiver who gets a lot of targets in this offense. So he's going to be the one guy to take away. I feel like he might have been out for this game last year as well. So that's somebody they'll have to work on covering. And BC has had real troubles covering receivers out of the slot. I think we'll see a lot more TJ Green this week than Cam Martinez, who had a really, really bad game against Cal. So see some adjustments there from BC on defense. But for them, I think if it's Holstein, I think you kind of just want to play coverage. I don't think you need to blitz him too much. Just kind of let him make his own mistakes. Don't give him the easy things by blitzing too much. We talk about Dylan Lonergan, where if you blitz him, he's going to burn you. Like, he knows where to go with this hot route. That's not really Holstein's game. He's going to scramble around, try to make too big of a play, and might give the ball to the other team. He could also make a big play, but if you're creating havoc as well, and it's kind of a very big roller coaster, you might find a way to live with that, especially if your offense can get going. Alternatively, if they have Gonzalez, you might, again, I don't know that much about him as a quarterback, but you might want to try to heat him up. So, he's, this is his first start against FBS competition. You want to throw a lot of things at him, throw defenders at him. He doesn't know where to get the ball out quickly. So you want to confuse him with blitzes, simulated pressures, like we talk about with Tim Lewis. Again, I think I agree with you about this whole play more zone argument, because there are plays when you're watching and BC just doesn't get pressure enough and their guys get cooked in man coverage immediately. But I don't think it's necessarily the cure-all, because if you look at the last drive of the game, when BC allowed some of these big plays, especially the coverage bust to the tight end for the touchdown, they're in zone, and guys they don't play that zone that much. And so guys just don't know what to read, how to feel out what routes are developing. So that's kind of why they haven't been doing zone, because you can make those mistakes and they can lead to big plays. So I think they do need more zone, but I don't think it's not like they're going to completely switch over to zone and it's going to fix everything. Multiple things can be true at the same time, and there really isn't a cure-all for everything that ails this defense. That is the biggest problem is the lack of guys. It's Jimmy's and Joe's more than X's and O's for this defense.
So I have a question for you about this defense. We're talking about getting pressure. Obviously, Quintavious Hutchins is going to be one of the starting edge. If you were Tim Lewis, who would get the most snaps opposite of him?
I'm wondering if you intentionally set me up for this, but I think Anya Nwosisi is heating up. He had a really good game, I thought, against Cal. He had one run stuff that was really good, but he clipped the face mask, so he gets called. That's unfortunate, because he had a really good play up until that point. He had a few pressures here and there. I think he's playing faster. I think he's getting used to playing against FBS competition, which was a big jump for him. Playing against Pioneer League is one of the worst leagues, one of the worst conferences in the FCS. So he took some time for him, but he's getting there. He's getting some push. He's winning some battles on the edge. He's a bigger end. And I will say also, Hutchins actually quietly had a decent game against Cal. He couldn't get home with some of his pressures. Some of that wasn't his fault, guys getting beaten coverage, but he is playing decently well. Again, I don't want him to be the primary. I would love for there to be another edge rusher that was better. If he's your second edge, you feel good about it, but he's making some plays. So maybe he's getting close. I think Nwosisi's getting close. I think Favor Bate is doing some interesting stuff. Again, he's maybe coming along a little slower, but he's also batted down 3 passes in the last 2 games. So that's something that he can add to this defense, Bate downing passes, if you will. And then, I think Edwin Kalinga was kind of quiet in this game. I don't know. He might just be kind of a hot and cold guy. So maybe try to give him a shot, because I think he still is good in run defense. He does have his moments. So that's, I think, how you deploy those edge rushers. Maybe try to get more of them on the field at the same time. Get some 3 edge packages. Yep. They tried to, also Ty Clemens had a few pressures. So I think they're close. And I think Pitt has a pretty bad offensive line. They just lost one of their starting guards for the season. Their tackles have been bordering on abysmal. I'm going to try to pull up their numbers really quickly here, but they are both allowing a ton of pressure. It's Jeff Percy, who's a transfer from Michigan, and Ryan Baer, who's a big guy who's been at Pitt for a long time, but he's struggling. So Percy has allowed 9 pressures and 1 sack with 2 penalties. Bear has allowed 12 pressures and 3 sacks with no penalties. So that's pretty rough.
I was going to say, when you're talking about Q Hutchins in that game against Cal, I don't know if they showed it on TV, but from the press box, you could see it. It was one of those 4th and 1 run stuffs when he dragged JKS about 2 yards backwards by his ankle.
I think that's a penalty. So I was
watching him like, please let go of his ankle.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if you're allowed to do that, because I feel like I've seen guys get called for that. I think it's just a personal foul or something. Yep. But yeah, I was surprised they didn't call that. I mean, also on that play, Chuck Donato had a great run stuff. He jumped the snap like right as it was going and then kind of went over the center, which you don't really want to do in those situations. You want to be low man wins. But then he kind of just collided with JKS and turned him away. So that was a big play by him. Again, these guys aren't making like the ton of these huge splash plays. And I know I said the defensive line is bad and they need to get better. And maybe they are getting better. But you're seeing like a few plays. Okay, this is interesting. Let's see if they can keep stacking these plays. They need to keep doing it, do it more consistently. I think Juan Williams has been having a pretty nice season. He's basically already gotten career numbers for a season in only 4 games. So again, I still think they're pretty bad. I think they need to get better, but I think we're seeing a trend where it's okay, they're making some more plays. Maybe this can be the game where they finally put it all together.
I was going to go to our second break here, but I have another question for you.
Okay.
3 starters that have been out. Bam Crouch, Jude Bowery, Amari Jackson. Rank who you would like to see. Who's going to be most important for them to get back?
I think I would love to have Amari Jackson back just because this cornerback room has had a real problem. And I think, again, looking at Pitt's wide receivers, their outside guys, Kenny Johnson and Kataris Blue Hicks, I think is his name. He's a transfer from Louisville, had a big game last week in a revenge game. Yes, Kataris Hicks. They're fine. But Amari Jackson is also fine. So that's a good matchup. So I feel like I like that one if he's healthy. If he's not, then it's kind of a moot point. So I think he's the most important because that allows everybody kind of bump down the hierarchy in the cornerback room where guys have been struggling. You can not have to rely on Isaiah Ferris or Max Tucker as much. You can rotate them or rotate some of the true freshmen if they're playing well. Next would probably be, I'm surprised I'm saying this, but Davian Crouch. And I do think Bryce Steele, who is wearing number 8. Let's everybody get that straight. He's wearing 8. I don't know why they haven't changed
They were saying Jalen Blackwell in the press box the entire game.
Yeah, it's Bryce Steele. I don't know why they're being weird with numbers this year. I'm sorry. He played pretty well in this game. Had a bunch of good run stuffs, which is nice to see. Obviously, great story for him. But I like having Crouch's speed out there, especially in passing situations and a pass rusher. I think he can be useful there. And then honestly, Drew Bauer's the last one because I thought they've been pass protecting well all year. You put Logan Taylor at left tackle. He was still fine. Didn't really have any problems in pass protection. I would like it in that then they could move Taylor to right tackle, put Bowery at left tackle, and then maybe bench Kevin Klein or move. Although I don't even know if you want to move Kevin Klein inside to guard because Robert Smith had a great game in making his debut. So I think then maybe you can get Klein on the bench and use him as your 6th lineman if you want to run some jumbo packages, which this team has done a lot in the past. And I think that's something that could be effective against a Pitt defense that plays with base, but their base defenders are smaller. So you can beat them with some size and strength stuff if you want to get heavy.
Okay. In a moment, Mitch and I are going to give our predictions. Are we both going to continue to pick BC? You'll have to hear our thoughts in just a moment. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. I love how Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights, and corrects your form, making every rep safer and smarter. And with the personalized class recommendations that keep you engaged, you get workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level each week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com. The charitable Irish Society has been part of Boston's history since 1737, making it the oldest Irish society in the Americas. With deep ties to Boston College, its leaders and members continue a proud tradition of service. Today, the society is still living its mission, raising thousands of dollars each year to help immigrants in need, Irish and non-Irish alike. Last year, their support helped a family from Northern Ireland who faced a medical crisis and couldn't cover rent and bills. You can be part of that impact. Membership is just $75 a year, and it goes directly to helping families when they need it most. and mark your calendar. The annual Silver Key Dinner is coming up October 29th at the UMass Club honoring Archbishop Henning. Get your tickets at the annual Silver Key Dinner and join the Charitable Irish Society today at www.charitableirishsociety.org. Welcome back. This is Locked On Boston College. AJ Black here. And if you have made Locked On Boston College your first listen every day, I want to thank each and every one of you. Make us your first listen by checking us out in the morning, where our podcast is dropped at 3 a.m. every single day. Some people think I actually posted at 3 a.m. It's called a scheduling button, but it's available. So if you get up early, we're there with you. And if you want a second listen to Locked On ACC. They had some real hot takes on Bill O'Brien that I don't agree with. So go check that out if you have a chance.
You gotta cultivate the mystique of you posting at 3 a.m. You're on like that grind set mentality, like that guy that like he like splits every day 6 hours.
Yep.
Like, I'm like 4 times as productive as you. Like I'm 4 times ahead of you because I wake up at 3 a.m.
Well, the person that talked to me was like, "Man, you must be having trouble with your kids if you're up this early." I'm like, I haven't been awake at 3 o'clock with my kids in years. But anyways, so let's do some predictions here, Mitch. Let's wrap things up. I think I went first last time, so I'm gonna make you go first because I think we're both on the same page on this one, and our rationale is pretty similar. I'll let you go first.
So I was looking on FanDuel earlier today just because I wanted to know what the spread was, and I'm pretty sure it was 5.5 earlier. It's now Pitt minus 6.5, so it's moved a little, which is interesting. The more interesting part is that the over/under has moved down 3 points. I'm pretty sure it was 58.5 earlier today, and now it's 55.5. So I don't know what Vegas knows. I would imagine that I wonder if that means they got a tip that Eli Holstein's not going to start. Because the spread moving a point is not. It was kind of juiced, I think, actually to BC earlier. So it's weird that it moved a point towards Cal, but maybe I read the odds wrong. But the total, if it did move 3 points, like I think it did, that's significant. So I'm still going to pick BC to lose here because they need to prove to me they can win a game and win a game against a real opponent. And I think Pitt is a team that is a good opportunity for them to do so because I think at least Pitt, they might not like blow them out or anything, but it's like Pitt can at least help you get some confidence back because when I'm watching this team, they are really close to making some big plays. And the one I keep thinking of is the dropped Owen McGowan interception. And it's like when Bill O'Brien talks about playing better, it's not just about making good plays great it's not just about making like terrible plays good. It's about making terrible plays bad plays tolerable plays good, and good plays great. And sometimes, you need guys to step up and make a play. And it's not like going out of the way. It's just like doing the simple thing, like catching the football. And again, Owen McGowan is a linebacker. He's a former running back, but it's just like, it was a tough catch for him. Like the ball dies like a sinker or two-seam fastball. Like it's difficult, but it's like, if somebody just makes the one big play, if Quan Williams even just brings him down for a sack on that play, instead of just a QB hit, if one of those plays just goes your way, and some of that's just luck, like you take a better step than the guy across from you, or the other guy makes a mistake. If you can just get one of those, that can change the outcome of this game. And I think that if they can get some confidence in this game from the turnovers that Pitt might commit, that's a big thing. But they have to prove to me they can do it. And I'm not going to pick them until they do. So I'm going to pick Pitt to win this game. I might honestly just go 28-24 because I don't think they have a good kicking situation. So I'm just going to run back the Cal score, 28-24. People are going to be mad again, and like rightfully so, because again, it doesn't excuse that this team is losing games this way. Like they do need to play better. They need to make those. They need to improve those plays at each level, and it's a team effort. Like it goes to everybody, it goes to the coaches, but they need to do it. And until they do, I can't really pick in their favor.
I'm going to say the same thing, but I have a little addition to it. So yes, they have to prove it to me as well. Like, we've watched them, do the things to lose 3 games in a row. And Bill O'Brien has talked about it. And I don't think he's making excuses. He's saying exactly what we're all thinking, that they've got to clean this stuff up if they're not going to win football games unless they do that. But I'm going to add another layer to this that I'm also skeptical about, is that Bill O'Brien's won 1 game on the road in his year and a half so far, or year and a third at BC. And that was the season opener against Florida State, where he had all summer to prep. So I'm a little skeptical about on the road too. I think Pitt wants this game too. Obviously they need to get themselves right. I want to see BC win this game. And honestly, it could easily happen, but I've been snake bitten picking them for 3 straight weeks. I'm going to go until, again, just like you, I'm going to go against them, but I'm going to pick them to lose 31-27.
I do kind of wonder to that point, like is this like kind of a backs against the wall game for BC where it's like a lot of the soft factors are not going their way? It's the road game thing. It's Pitt, a team that they've always played these wild games against. Like there's probably gonna be some crazy thing that happens in this game, like we've talked about. But it's like nobody's going to pick. Well, actually, it's funny because listening to the Cover 3 podcast, a lot of them picked BC, but it was like a money line sprinkle, so you just ride the underdog. But it's like everybody's like, now BC is like they're playing bad, they're losing these mediocre teams. Like no, like they're not going to win this game. And I wonder if it's like, oh, this is the thing where everything turns. It's like, okay, BC actually finally gets out of it, and Pitt has had 2 losses to Power 4 teams, but I'm not sure they're at that backs against the wall point yet. Like BC has been at rock bottom, Pitt has not yet. So I'm kind of wondering if that's the bounce back that BC gets here. But yeah, I agree with you. Like BC's they got to show me something. They got to clean something up and have things at least their luck turn in their way. And until then, I really can't, in good conscience, pick for them.
And I think we haven't really talked about it, but they also had a stretch like this last year. Like not so pronounced, but it took until halfway against the Syracuse game for them to figure things out again. And they went through basically the month of October just losing and futzing around it, for games, and then they figured things out and got it going. So it could happen. I'm just like you. If I'm a betting man, I'm going to go where the odds are right now, and I'm going to pick Pitt. So I would say people are going to boo me. Maybe there's family members of players that are going to get mad at us for picking him. But...
So one thing we can do, and I know this because Christopher Carter, who does Locked On Steelers, when he picks the Steelers to win and they lose, when he picks them to lose and they win, he wears a paper bag on his head for at least the intro of the podcast. So we could do that.
I'm in for that. That's a great idea.
I was actually DMing him today about the Pitt press box. So I think that's something we can do. So if we pick BC to lose, if they win, we got to do paper bags for at least the intro.
I got to find one, but I will get that ready just in case. All right, Mitch, where can people find you?
You can find me at Mitchell Wolfe, WOLFE on Twitter. Got the articles coming out this week. It's a little late because my film guy was in Disney, so he's backed up a little bit. So I'm backed up a little bit. So we're getting all the stuff out this week. It'll be there by game time. We'll have the matchup report, the preview, all that stuff will be ready by the time you're listening to this. And then I'll be at the Pitt game. So Age and I are going to talk about what exactly I'm going to do. But I'll be there at least asking questions and get to see the game live.
So we've got tons of Pitt stuff. We have tons of info up on the site right now. There's a new commitment that I'm recording this on Thursday that should be announcing about 10 minutes after I'm done putting this article together, this podcast together. Geez, I can't get a word out. Also, we have if you're looking for something fun, I put together the last 5 games BC played against Pitt with a ton of clips and all sorts of fun stuff. It's been a wild series. Go back and watch it. It's been mostly pro BC, but you can watch Kyrie Johnson again take someone's head off. You can watch AJ Dillon having a monster game, and then Daz get fired 24 hours later after he was pumping his chest for making a bowl. There's all sorts of crazy moments in this last 5 years. It's up on Eagle Insider. Go check that out. You can also check out our matchup reports, everything else. We've had Mia Dragoni, who's our new staff writer, at all the press conferences that Bill O'Brien's at. She doesn't go to the other one. And so there's tons of stuff. Go check that out on Eagle Insider. And I don't think this is going to line up right. Nope, definitely doesn't. They made me a new bottom third, and I'm looking at it in my thing, and I'm like, that doesn't fit. I'll talk more about that another time. Thank you all for following along, and I'll see you again soon for another episode of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.